guys? It's Jake from Team Insanity. I'm back in the office. I'm back at it doing some reviews. I have the DM14 I've been using from time to time. Travis has also been using it. And I have the new SL Ninja 77 tank. I know this is off topic from the DM14. People have been asking me, sorry I have a cold. People have been asking me about my thoughts and everything on it. This thing is very, very, very cool. That's what I think. It's very, very light, and it's probably the coolest tank. I mean, the reg, whatever, but I mean, the tank itself is very light, and it's everything that I've heard about it. It's the size of a 68, but it's a 77. It's really cool. I think this would be really good for like small back players. Back players. There's no such thing as small black people. Anyways,
Kevin Hart.
I have the die DM14 here. So let me just do the box. People want me to change my reviews a little bit since the last times I've done the reviews. A lot of people don't want me to go over the specs of the gun. They want me to just get right into the pros and cons and what I think about it and that kind of stuff. So, I don't know, I guess that's what you guys want, so that's what I'm going to go over. But I'm still going to unbox it. So first things first, get a nice, this is a little bit better. I feel like it's better packaging than my DM12. It feels like a thicker case. So it's a nice case to carry your gun in. Has a nice soft bottom on it. Usually you have your manual. Don't have the manual because it's all on the phone. In here you don't get the boomstick. Just pretend that that's not there, but it just looks cool. Black on black looks amazing with the boomstick. So what you normally get is you get the 2-piece barrel. You get the ultralight, the die ultralight barrel. Best fucking barrel I've ever shot. It's an amazing barrel by far. You get your die tool, your die keys, your Allen wrenches. Very, very, very good tool. I mean, you have everything that you need ever to use in this tool. You have O-ring picks, bottle openers. I don't even know what this is. I mean, like knives and all the Allen wrenches you need. Some tools for the DM. They have the ASA, and there's another bottle opener, some little screwdriver, some pin, and then you have all of your Allen wrenches that will fit. If you guys don't have a die tool, it's really cool, but they are expensive. Just all the tools to take it apart. You have the tool to take apart your ASA in here. All that good stuff. Get a little bit of die lube. If you don't know, and if you haven't owned any die products by far, best lube for die guns is die lube, okay? Use some Slick, or use the Smart Parts Sleek lube, or anything like that. It's the same thing. Dow 33, whatever. Just use the nice die lube, and you get a nice little, it's a color-coded O-ring, by the way, if you guys didn't know that. And you get a little small parts kit, just some replacement O-rings. You get some screws, an extra spring for, I don't know where that's at and what that's for, but you also get some replacement for your die eye pipe in there. If you don't know what the eye pipe is, I'll go over that. So you get a few, I mean, it's a cute little small parts kit. It's definitely not a Planet Eclipse part kit where you can basically build a gun with it. I mean, I don't know why Planet Eclipse ships you the gun. I mean, you can basically build the gun with the parts that they give you. So, you know, it's a nice parts kit, but it's not a Planet Eclipse parts kit by any stretch of the imagination. But they give you what you're going to need to start out with. So if you do have leaking out of the box, you know, you're going to have the O-ring to fix it. Or if you're going to the field and you don't feel like, you know, if you're just going on for like a basic walk-on day or like a rec ball day and you don't want to carry around 5,000 O-rings with you, you can put it in this nice little cute small parts kit, and you also get your Allen wrenches. So you can stay very slim profile with this. I mean, that's really nice. And then let's take out the gun itself. Now, if you don't know about the previous DMs, they have, let me get the barrel tip out. So the previous DMs, they always had macro line, okay? Now let me talk to you about the OLED board. So this doesn't have an OLED board. People get really, really pissed off and wonder, why doesn't I put an OLED board in their gun, blah, 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 blah. Okay, the reason why is they make the best grip frames on the market, okay? The reason why they don't put an OLED board in it is because the back of this gun is going to be thicker. It's going to be wider all the way up here, just like the Planet guns. It's going to feel a little bit thicker in your hand. It's not going to feel like a block, But by far, when you put like a die reflex rail in your hand, the proto reflexes that I used to own, my DM12, any other gun compared to a die ultralight grip frame, by far, I can't go back, okay? It feels really weird. Bob Long has really good grip frames too. Those are the only ones that I feel like can compete with the ultralight grip frames. I'm not trying to say that to be biased or anything. I just have little hands, and it's the most comfortable grip frame alongside with Bob Long that I've held. And the reason why is that they don't try to stuff an OLED board in there. And if they tried to stuff an OLED board in there, then it would take this, absolutely expand it out and make it a little bit fatter, make it a little bit wider, all that good fun stuff that you don't really want. People like the ultralight grip frame. I, being one of them, I will sacrifice an OLED board for the ultralight grip frame any day of the week on any gun, okay? The reason why, believe me, it's nice having an OLED board, but what do you get out of it, okay? You don't get that much out of it. Sure, you get some trigger trainer mode, so when you're sitting around, when you first buy your gun, you can see like your peak pull per second. Woo! Man, that's a big fucking deal breaker. Not really. I mean, you don't really get that much with an OLED board. It's just cool to have a screen. It feels futuristic to me. I don't need an OLED board on my guns. I don't feel the need to have it. That's my take on OLED boards. So when people bitch and complain, why doesn't the die put OLED boards in their gun? That's the reason why, is they want to keep the ultralight grip frame ultralight. They want to keep it the slimmest profile they possibly can. If I were to take off the grips on this gun, you will see how thin it is. It's like this thin. It is a very, very, very thin grip frame. And they have that because they don't have an OLED board going all the way up the grip frame, like Planet Eclipse, even Bob Long. Bob Long has a smaller OLED board. Vanguard, anything like that, even though Vanguard has it on the side on some of their guns, but it makes it very nice and more comfortable, and people don't realize that when you want to stuff a screen when you want to stuff a screen right there, it's going to make the grip frame fatter, okay? And most pro players, you know, don't want that. You don't, when you're playing at like PSP, or you're playing tournaments, that kind of stuff, you keep it on 12 point, well, it's 10 now, but you just keep it on 12.5 PSP, lock the board so you can't change. That's how you run it all year long. That's how everyone normally runs their gun. The only reason why you would need an OLED board is the convenience of changing it like that, okay? That's the only good thing about the OLED board, is you can just be like, oh shit, I forgot to set my gun the night before the tournament. Let me just click a few buttons, okay, I'm in 12.5. That's the only good thing about having the OLED board, is that you can conveniently do it. Now, where I think die fucked up is where, if Dangerous Power, I used to own a Dangerous Power G4, I think that board was amazing, okay? To get into the programming mode, you have to just hold down the button, hold down the trigger, boom, you're in programming mode, and it flashes all the colors and you're in programming mode. I don't agree with die that you still have to take off the grip frames, okay? Or the grips, not the grip frame, but the grips. I feel like that's still taking a step back, okay? Dangerous Power can have it to where you hold down the gun, or you hold down the trigger and the power button, and you go into programming mode. I mean, why can't die do that? I think it's very smart. I think it'd be a very good thing to do. And I think it makes it so much easier to program things on the fly instead of having to take off the grips. That kind of bothers me a little bit. Other than that, the whole board thing where people are bitching about, oh, you don't get an OLED board, blah blah. It's because you want the ultralight grip frame. If you want the very slim, comfortable grip frame, you're not gonna get an OLED board, okay? This board, or this grip frame, is smaller than any Planet grip frame, I'm pretty sure. Anything like that. So that's why they don't put the OLED board in there. So if you didn't know, that's why. That's sort of my rant on the OLED board. You don't really need it. It's just cool. It's convenient. I mean, on that, I think that they need to make it to where all you have to do is hold down the trigger in the power button and you go into program mode. I don't agree with having to take off the grips. Other than that, great. Now, with that being said, they also designed it just like every other DM on the market from the last 30 billion years, is all you have to do is just pull off the grip frames. There's no screws or anything to where you're going to lose a screw, which is pretty cool. Now, they haven't redesigned the DMs in a very, very long time, okay? The DM12 and the DM13 basically the same. DM9, DM10, you know, I mean, there's not huge differences between all the DMs, just little milling things here and there, maybe a few different slits and cuts in the bolt or something like that. They completely redesigned this whole thing. If I had my DM, I'd show you, but I don't. Oh, the eye pipe. I'm going to go over the eye pipe. But they completely redesigned this thing. Now, what I don't like, now, before I get to what I don't like now, so if you guys don't know about dye or anything and you're just watching this video and you're just trying to learn, dye has an eye pipe systems to where you don't have, the detents and everything is integrated into like this plastic tube thingy. So if you break and chop paint, when the bolt goes right across it, it basically squeegees your eyes and everything. It's pretty cool. But the only thing is that they are like very brittle. Okay, think about holding a frozen paintball. Okay, this is the eye pipe. It just slides right into the breech and it covers your eyes and it has your detents on there. That's what the little orange thing around it is. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the eye pipe system. It's nothing too amazing, but it's pretty damn cool. It's pretty convenient, and it helps to where if you have ball breaks, like if you go watch my how to turn a reflex rail into a flamethrower, I could keep shooting and keep going because my detents weren't clogged, my eyes weren't clogged. That's all because of the eye pipe system, and it is a bitch to get back in there. Now, with them redesigning the gun, do I agree with it? I think it's really cool that they actually changed it, but I think they took a step backwards in terms of ergonomics in a way, other than the grip frame. I feel like this gun is sort of fatter. It's sort of thicker. That's how I feel when I first got this in my hands and I was feeling this front grip. I was like, God damn, it's a brick. That's what I really felt when I first got there. And I have pretty small hands. I'm a small guy. If you guys watch our videos, I'm not a big guy. I'm like 5'7" or 5'8" or something. I'm not that big, and I have little baby hands. Okay, I mean, a 5th grader probably has bigger hands than me. So, I mean, it really it feels a little bit fatter up in the front on the reg. That's the only thing that bothers me, is that it is a little bit fatter. And now that they had to do the gas through foregrip, even the ultralight grip frame got a little bit bigger too, because they had to put all the air transfer shit and all that cool stuff in there. But I mean, I feel like they took a step back with the ergonomics. Now, if you're a big back player, I think this gun for the ergonomics is great for you. If you have big ass grizzly paw hands, this will fit in your hands really, really nice. But like the last DM that I had, the DM12 that I still own, I mean, it feels really nice up front, and I feel like I can hold it every single way. This gun, I mean, I can hold it every which way, but I mean, it feels different. It just feels a little bit thicker. It feels a little bit fatter, and I don't know if it's the grips or what it is, but it just feels, I mean, this feels really nice how I can wrap my finger around, but still, like right down here in the lower part of my hand, it feels like it's thick and it's fat. That's the only thing that feels weird to me. Now, if you're Mike Paxton, if you're anyone like that, and you're a big player and you're a big back player, this gun definitely has, it has that stretched feel to it. It sort of reminds me of like Jacob's G6R. It's stretched. It's sort of just like the G6R in a way in terms of how stretched out it is. I think the G6R might be a little bit longer, but it feels really nice and stretched out. So when you're getting off the brake, you really have good control of this. You have a lot, I mean, it feels really good in the hands, but I just feel like it's just a little bit thicker for me. That's the only thing that I really can't get over, is when I hold this gun, it bothers me because it feels a little bit too thick. But I mean, you really have a big grasp on this, and it feels really well balanced and very, very comfortable overall. And if you are a bigger player, this is an amazing back player gun. That's how I feel. This feels like this screams back player. That's how I feel about it. Trigger, great trigger. It's just a normal die reach trigger. Pretty cool, I guess. I mean, yeah. Die ASA, I wish that they would change their ASAs around, because you only have this little itty bitty pin that you probably can't see because it's black on black, and you sort of have to like weasel your finger in there and turn it on, and it's a pain in the ass, and mine's terrible to turn on my DM12. But you know, I wish they would sort of do something different with that ASA, whatever. I know they're not going to. But other than that, in terms of ergonomics, I don't like it, but a lot of bigger people will. If you have bigger hands, you'll definitely like it. I feel like it's really well balanced and all that. That's how I feel. It looks great, and they have totally redesigned this gun, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. It shoots amazing. It shoots like butter. So if you guys are wondering what it shoots like, it shoots just like all the other previous DMs. It shoots like butter. Okay, if you've ever shot a DM, my DM12, it shoots I mean, it shoots butter. That's the way to explain it. It's not like a Lux. The Lux shoots a little bit better. I feel like the Bob Along Ripper might shoot a little bit better, like the spool valve Ripper. I haven't shot the VIS in a long time, but I mean, it is very butter, and you're still gonna get that very high shot quality from dye. You're still gonna get that very smooth shot. You're still gonna get that same high quality performance that you get in all the other DMs. It still shoots super smooth. It shoots very nice. LPR is right up here. So you can adjust your LPR. It does have an LPR just like all the other DMs, which is really nice. So the thing is if you like to tune your gun, if you like to fiddle around with your gun and that kind of stuff, you can do that. You can make it, you know, I personally, I don't like it to shoot sluggish, that kind of stuff, where you can basically turn the LPR almost all the way off. People are doing that. I don't like how that feels, so I can tune it to how I want it. You can tune this gun to how you want it with the LPR and the HPR. It's really, really nice. The other thing is that it does have a purge solenoid. So people, when Planet Eclipse were selling the 2.1s, when the 2.1s and the Ego 11s just came out, they don't have a solenoid that purges. So if you don't know what that means, if you turn your high pressure up too high, or if you use nothing but high pressure, like you can do that on the minis, like if you go above 200 PS or 200 PSI through your gun, anything like that, then it can blow your solenoid, but that won't happen with the dye DMs, okay? It happens with my DM to where if I'm tuning it and I'm sitting there and I'm just cranking on the high pressure, all of a sudden it'll just vent all the air. And the reason why is that it has a valve, it has like a shut-off valve or something. I don't know exactly how it works, but if the solenoid gets a little bit too much pressure of air, it just purges it out, so you don't pop your solenoid and have to buy a brand new solenoid and replace it and everything. That's really, really cool. And playing Eclipse out of the box with the 2.1s and the Ego 11s, I don't know if you guys remember, if you were playing at that time, but sometimes when people would get it out of the box, their high pressure was all jacked up from the factory, and sometimes it'd be opened up all the way. So when they plugged in their tank and they turned it on, pop, there goes their solenoid, and they blew a solenoid and it was a brand new gun. Right there on the field. And that happened out at Lone Wolf. A guy had a 2.1 and popped his solenoid and it was like a brand new gun. And it's because Planet solenoids don't purge. I don't think Bob Longs do either. I really don't think anyone's does but dies. And it does make it very, very nice to where if you're tuning it and you don't know where you're at with your high pressure and your low pressure, and all of a sudden it'll just start purging everywhere, and it's very, very nice. They have that on the dams, they have that on everything. So if you do get this gun and out of the box, all of a sudden you just hear and it's just leaking, and it's like leaking, I don't know where the drain hole is through here, but it's going to be leaking through someplace around on the bottom of the gun. If it starts doing that, you didn't do anything, just turn down your high pressure. It came a little bit funky from the factory. Planets did that, and they were popping solenoids left and right out of the box. Dyes, you won't have that problem, especially with your tuning it, and I think that's a really cool selling point, that it's designed like that. Dye has a tendency to over-engineer everything, but I think they've done a really good job with their solenoids. They've had that in a lot of the guns, but if you don't know about that, then they have it. One of the other cool things that like 90% of all the guns come with that is overlooked that I want to talk about is on the board. It's on. And if you guys just watched where I break DJ's Lux, right before, like the eyes weren't reading a ball, or maybe it was like halfway and I don't know what was going on, but I knew that there was a ball in there. And for some reason the eyes wouldn't read it. It's like this in like the Luxes, the Vanquishes, and basically any other gun out there, the G6Rs, any Bob Long gun, the NTs, anything, but it's overlooked. And everything but like some of the $500 guns, the reflex reels have it. But if you hold on the trigger, you hear it after like 0.5 of a second or a full second, it'll just shoot. Okay, so if you hold on the trigger, when the eyes are on, it'll override it and it shoots a ball, and it cycles the bolt. So if all of a sudden, if your eyes do like mess up or something and it's not reading a ball, you just hold it down, boom, and it shoots the ball, which is really cool. And you know, that's not a huge selling point because just about every board has that, but a lot of people don't know that. So if you don't know that, you get that with this gun. You get that with practically every single gun. But it helped out a lot. If you remember watching that video where I broke the Lux, I'm sitting there in the Snake and I'm like, I keep on tapping my hopper. I'm like, what the hell is this thing doing? And I'm sitting there like pulling the trigger. I'm just like, I'm sitting there pressing the button and the eyes just weren't past the eyes or something. And that's really cool to where all you have to do is I just held down the trigger, boom, it cleared the breach and cycled, and I was back out there shooting. So you do get that with with the DM. You get that practically every gun, but not a lot of people know that, and they're out there on the field taking apart their hopper and like poking at balls and like squeegeeing the barrel, and they have no idea what they're doing. When half the time, check, it's just a ball that slips a little bit past the detents in the eyes, and the board doesn't read it. So sometimes that does happen. So if you don't know about that, your gun has that. So I've just kind of rambled and ranted about this whole entire thing, but I mean, it has a good feed neck. I'm not going to go over the specs like everyone really wanted me to about the feed neck, the trigger, and all that. I tried to stay away from that. But so now what I'm about to do is I'm about to take this apart, show you the bolt, and show you everything about the insides and how to clean and just how easy it is to maintenance this gun. Alright, so we have the DM14 here. We are on a 3000, just above 3000. We put it at a little bit above 3K air fill, because some fields don't always fill the 4500 or 4000 or whatever it is, and if your field is one of those, you know, whatever. So we're just going to do 3000 air fill. We're going to chrono it 275, 283, 277, please keep in mind that this is not the stock bolt, but this is the Billy Wing bolt. So now we're going to put our mask on and we will go ahead and do the efficiency test. $280, $270. $280. All right, put it in. Just start shooting.
I'll have them to, do you remember that auto tracker, buddy?
So out of a 3000 fill, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and basically 8 pods. There's only like a little handful of balls in here, and it was shooting 220. So you could probably finish off this pod. On the DM14, it was on 12.5 balls a second PSP. Thank you. Alright, so we have the DM14 laid out in all of its glory. Like I said, boomstick doesn't come stock with it. It does if you get the anniversary edition, which is actually a very good deal. So I'm just going to take off the barrel. Now normally when you're cleaning this, I'm a very nice guy, so I'm going to clean like the whole eye pipe and everything for the guy that let me borrow this. I'm going to be a very nice guy and clean it out for him and everything. But normally, I'm not going to show that on camera. If you do, just take out the eye pipe and just take the eye pipe, rinse it under some water and stuff. That should basically do it. There's nothing that you really have to do special to clean out the eye pipe. You know, you don't really have to go and rip apart this whole entire gun to clean it all. I mean, there's only two things that you want to do, is just take out the eye pipe, run it underwater, and just maintenance the bolt every 2 cases, every case, basically every time that you play, after every day. That's how you're going to want to maintenance it. And this isn't your typical Ego, okay? This isn't like an Ego. This isn't a plain Eclipse gun. This isn't a Geo. So you're gonna have to maintenance this, okay? People that get dye guns, sometimes if they're playing an Eclipse nutsack fans or whatever, that's what I like to call them, is they'll get a Bob Long gun, or not even a Bob Long gun. The Bob Long is very good, but they'll get a dye gun, or they'll get some other type of gun that takes a little more TLC than a normal plain Eclipse gun, and they get pissed off because, oh, why am I blowing O-rings every 3 cases? Well, maybe it's because you're not lubing it, okay? These things, you want to lube them lightly and lube them often, okay? That's my theory on how to lube this, on how to maintenance it, is they'll use a little bit less lube. You not really under lube, but you want to just lube it a little bit less than normal than you would like a Planet Eclipse gun or a Bob Long gun, just to get the O-rings nice and shiny, and that should basically be all you really need. And then you just lube it every case or so. All right, so now to the bolt assembly. Take apart the bolt. So you have this little button. It might be hard to see on camera because it's black on black. I'm sorry about that. Now, what you do is you just push that and you pull it out. Okay, just like that. Now, if you get yours new, it might be a little bit harder to get it out because the O-rings like to grab onto the inside and all that good stuff when it's brand new and they're not worn in. Now, what's really, really cool is on the back of the DM, back here, is if Dye, of course, thought about all they overnet engineer everything, but good for them, is that if somehow that this sticks, like if this somehow gets clogged up with dirt or sand or whatever the hell you guys do to your guns, is if this does get clogged up to where you can't move this back and forth anymore, what you do is you take your Allen key, you stick it down that hole, and then you can unscrew this part, so then you can yank out your bolt and then go get it teched by Dye, which is really cool. So I think that was a really cool, you know, key spot. So if you have to maintenance your gun or something and it does, you know, fuck up somehow, then you can still get it apart and you won't have to be tearing the whole entire gun to pieces and all that stuff. So you can actually take it apart and then go get it serviced, and you know, you won't have a DM that gets all clogged up. So this is basically the new fuse bolt assembly, okay? Not that, I mean, it doesn't look that much different from like right here. This is looks all the same. Back here looks a little bit different from any other of the DMs. This is the Billy Wing bolt. I have been shooting it with the Billy Wing bolt, but I've also been shooting it with the stock bolt. I shot it a little bit when it first came out, but then we dropped the Billy Wing bolt in it for tuning purposes. And the Billy Wing bolt, I'm going to do a more in-depth review on the Billy Wing series and the Billy Wing bolts and all that cool stuff. I'm going to do a more in-depth series, and probably not on the DM14 one, but on, like, you know, just all of them broad in general, on is it actually worth it to buy these. Now, for tuning purposes, if you like to mess around with your guns, I think it is. But long story short, so we're just going to take this apart, and pretty basic. I mean, there is 1,000,005 pieces to DMs. Now, what you want to do is you just want to wipe everything down. You know, just take everything and just make sure that you get all the lube off of it, just like all the other times that you have to lube any other gun. There's no inner O-ring in this, so you just gotta wipe down all the O-rings that you see and just break this. Well, actually, first is that there's an O-ring on the front. If you guys have never owned a DM or any Dye guns, is to slide the firing can off. Is you have to take this little front O-ring, pinch it, and move it forward, and just take it off. You don't really need an O-ring pick. I wouldn't recommend getting an O-ring pick and taking it to that O-ring, because you could potentially scratch it somehow. I don't know how you could, but I mean, you know, if you take the O-ring pick and slip, because it gets all slippery with lube, you can do it. It's not that hard. What you do is just take two, you just start from right here, you just start pushing with your finger and your thumb, and you'll just see like this little, it'll warp the O-ring, and then push it forward, and then you can grab onto it and pull it off. It's really easy, not that hard. Don't use an O-ring pick, because you'll just start destroying O-rings and possibly your bolt. And then you just pull that part off. This slides out the back like that, as so, and there you go. So now 90% of the times this has not really changed. Just wipe this down, but if your DM starts leaking for some apparent reason, which I have no idea, you know, if it does, sometimes they do leak. I mean, they have 1.5 million O-rings. The first O-ring that you want to check is the sail O-ring. Okay, it's like that in any DMs. Okay, DM12, DM13, the DM987, all the way to every basic DM that has a sail O-ring right here. This O-ring right between, right in the middle, right here. That is the O-ring that you will want to replace right here. That is where 90% of the leaks are going to come from, especially if it's leaking down the barrel. If you're leaking down the barrel, check your sail O-ring. That's gonna get most of the wear and tear than any of the other O-rings. So that is your most important O-ring, is if it does start leaking. 9 times out of 10, just replace your sail, okay? And even if that doesn't fix the leak, whatever, then you have a fresh sail O-ring on there, because the reason why is that O-ring gets probably the most abuse because it's just sliding around in there. This is what's always constantly moving. I mean, this whole bolt assembly is constantly moving, but this O-ring right there is basically, you know, the big live action, I guess you can say. Now, there is inner O-rings inside here. Got some nasty hater sauce on it, just for the weather. Just gonna take this out, wipe it all down on the inside, just like I'm doing. Just take your finger, shove it in there, and then you can get it all out. I tend to get my pinky finger on this side, and I try to, you know, you can take Q-tips, whatever you want to do, and just wipe it all down perfectly. You don't want to have any old lube or any old dirt or shit that you still have on there from, you know, your last games or whatever. Just, you know, basic stuff. It's not too difficult, really. I mean, it's a lot longer than doing an EO maintenance, but it shoots better. It shoots butter. It shoots amazing. Now there is an O-ring in there that you want to make sure that you wipe down. So you just wipe everything down. I mean, it's pretty basic. Now, another thing is that on the DM series, I forgot to mention, it's pretty cool, is the ASA. You can move the ASA back and forth. So if you have a bigger, longer tank, like a 90 cubic inch, and it might be just a little bit too long for you, you can slide it back. Okay, if you have a small peanut tank, you can slide the ASA forward. It's pretty cool. Just take the Allen key right there, and it slides. It's pretty cool. Just thought I'd mention that. Now, this is all the pieces that you have. It's pretty basic, just like any other DM. It just is designed a teeny bit different. Take your dye lube, open her up, and like I said, you don't want to use too much. Just to where the O-rings get nice and shiny. You can't over lube it. The guy that gave me this gun tends to use a little bit more lube on his DM. But whatever, it's just personal preference. I say a little bit less, just to make the O-rings nice and shiny. I'm gonna need some more lube. Go get me some.
Oh, where?
I don't know. Get something that you have. The hater sauce that you have.
How am I supposed to hold this?
Actually, I might be able to pull it off.
You should try to pull it off. It's gonna take a lot to get me off this.
So you just want to lube these few back O-rings. It's pretty basic. This is kind of the boring part of the video. Now that you have this all maintenanced, all nice and done. See, I mean, you saw how much lube that I put on there. I didn't cake it on there like it was frosting on a, you know, 10-year-old's cake. You know, that's not how you really lube these guns. I'm gonna try to make it stand up perfectly. It's kind of hard. There you go. Now don't forget, there is inner O-rings. So you want to take the inner O-rings and you're going to want to lube those inner O-rings because you don't want to forget about those. That helps create a seal. It helps the gun work. So you want to maintenance all your gun parts. And that's the only inner O-ring there. Put it back as so. I like to work it around a little bit just to make sure that it fits well. Don't forget, also inner O-rings on here. I like to work my way from the bottom all the way out. It's just easier to work. You know, just put a little bit in there. Not too much. I mean, you see how much lube I'm using every time. There's not a whole ton. I should have used my pinky for this O-ring because it's a little bit harder to get in there. It's a smaller space. It's nice and tight. Giggity. Get all of that in there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty basic. Slide that on there. Let's give the threads, you want to make sure that you lube the threads just a teeny bit, not too much, just to where, you know, it won't get absolutely stuck on there like it did before when I was trying to take it apart. Now you lube the outside O-rings. Let's put this back on. And as you see, we're just slowly rebuilding it. It's pretty easy. I mean, it doesn't take much at all. And you just want to do this after every single time that you play. It's pretty damn basic. It's not like it takes a rocket scientist to pull these guns apart and lube them. I mean, anyone can really do this. I mean, even Jacob can do this. Imagine that, Jacob lubing a gun. Doesn't happen often, but
my butt's getting tired.
There we go. And don't forget the back O-rings over here. Used a little bit too much lube for these. There we go. And don't forget is to slide your bolt forward. Put that O-ring on. I give it a little bit of lube. You don't really have to, but I like to give the bolt tip a little bit of lube just so it doesn't really scratch it. You don't have to, but that's what I like to do. And it's nice. And then you put the back cap on. Pretty basic. Like I said, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to do this. You just want to snug everything up. You don't want to tighten it too hard. Take it out, or you put it in just like you took it out. Press the button. See it swivel? And you just slide her in. Nice and lubed up. And there you go. That's how you assemble. Well, it's not in all the way. There you go. Now that is how you disassemble and maintenance your whole DM14. Pretty easy. Now let's bring it out and do the conclusion. Alright, so overall, DM14, 10 out of 10 wood bang. This is with the Ninja SL tank. Very, very, very comfy. Very nice. I like the feel of this. It feels very comfortable. Just like I said, you know, the only thing that I really just dislike is just I feel like they took a step backwards with this front grip. Now in PB Nation and some Tech BB forums and that kind of stuff, I saw some people taking off these grips, or they would take it and like cut it from like right here and sort of like sand it down, and they would put those $10 or $15, whatever they are, those little Exalt grips, and they'd slide it on there, and I guess it feels smaller and a little bit better, I guess. And I think that would work. I feel like that's a great idea, but I can't do that with this gun. I can't tell you how it works and how it feels because this isn't my gun to destroy. Someone was nice enough to let me borrow their gun, and I'm not going to sit there and, you know, destroy the grips and tell you how it is. So, but other than that, I mean, I like the ultralight grip frame. It feels very nice in the hands. I mean, the no macro line, that's not a big selling point for me, but I like the looks of it. When I'm looking down, I mean, it feels really, really nice, especially with this Ninja SL tank on there. I'm not trying to sell this tank, but even with you can move the ASA back and forth. I told you that in the maintenance video. It feels really, really nice. It did decent efficiency on it. It had a decent efficiency, so I mean, it's a basic spool. You're not going to get 12 pods on a 3000 fill like an Ego, but you know, nice feed neck. Overall, I really enjoy the gun, and I think for the most part, as if you're a back player, I feel like this just screams back player. Okay, that's how I feel when I got this gun. Is I felt like I can just shoot streams of paint for days. That's how I really felt when I used this gun. Is I really feel like I can just destroy people with this. Like, I can just shoot lanes. I feel like I'm in so much control. It is very comfy, and I feel like I can just whip this anywhere. It has great feel to it, especially with the ultralight grip frame. I can't say that enough. I can't stress it. But like I said, you know, it just feels a little bit fat up here. But other than that, I mean, it's a great gun. It's worth it, every penny. I have very enjoyed it. It's butter smooth. It shoots amazing. It doesn't shoot as smooth as a Lux, but it's up there. It's very smooth, just like all the DMs are. You know, I know people were wondering since they redesigned the bolt how much smoother it is. You know, it is very nice. The LPR runs at different operating pressures now than the other DMs, that kind of stuff. It shoots amazing, and I really enjoy this gun. So I think that this would be a great buy if you're thinking about getting it and you want to get into a spool valve gun. I think this is a great gun. It looks sexy, it performs amazing, and especially if you're a back player, it's great for a back player. I mean, you can just take this. I mean, it feels nice and stretched, and you can really just own people's faces, especially on the break. That's how I feel about it. But yeah, thanks for watching. This is the DM14 review. Thank you for DJ, for the coach for a team in San. Thank you for letting us use the DM and all this stuff. Hopefully we have a few guns in the mail coming hopefully soon. But yeah, thanks for watching. We're doing giveaways on our channel and stuff, so if you don't know, we've given away Virtue Vios, we're going to give away Mini GS, we gave away a Pinocchio Speed. So if you're new to our channel, we do giveaways. It's pretty solid. So subscribe to our channel, follow us on all that stuff, follow us on Facebook. Any questions, ask in the comments, comment on Facebook, or ask us in the Ask Us Anything video. Thanks again for watching. Peace.